captain to Paranormal World Investigators Research Division, shortened PWIRD. I am a practicing white witch and shaman, and I have been investigating for over 20 years. This channel is made to talk about all things paranormal, supernatural, of the occult, demonic information, UFOs, and much more strange and the unknown. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and hit the bell to see more of this channel. And we will see you very soon. Thank you. Hello guys and welcome to PWIRD. This is Sherry and my sister Drew next to me this way. We are here today with our special guest, Ross Allison. We are so excited to be having this gentleman on our show. He is absolutely amazing, guys, and you're in for a treat tonight. So what I would like to do is just get into a little bit of information about Ross so that you can understand who he is. Obviously, he is a very educated investigator of the paranormal and the scientific side of paranormal, and has been doing this for over 30 years. He is a president and founder of a ghost adventure ghost hunting team of Seattle, Tacoma. Ross lives in Tacoma, Washington. He has worked in Research Institute of the Paranormal. Ross is the former paranormal investigator of Dead Air Paranormal Radio Station. Ross is the owner and tour guide of a Spooked in Seattle Ghost Tours. Ross studied at Green River Community College. I will inform you that Ross has got some documentaries coming out next month, which is under his advertisement of Parasense, and Ross is a author of 10 books and the 11th coming out in 2022, guys, so please do not miss that. And that book is Para Science, so you don't want to miss that. So this is the information on Ross. He's an absolutely amazing gentleman. I met him through Chad and Linda of Smith Family Paranormal, and I was taken by him straight away. He's very interesting because he likes both sides. He's worked like we do here, but he also has the light of TV and other sides as well. So he'll be able to give you a lot of information. You can ask him a lot of questions. So instead of leaving the amazing gentleman in the bottom, in the cellar, we're going to bring him up where the spooks can't get him no more. So here is Ross Allison. Hello. Ross.
It's welcome. Great being here.
We're really privileged to have you here.
Oh, it's my privilege. I love to have the opportunity, especially with us, communicating across the great waters here. This is awesome.
Exactly. You over in the USA and I'm in the UK, and lovely Drew here is in Scotland. So we are a bit all over the place, and I can guarantee you our chat is all over the place as well. Definitely.
No,
so
I love to travel all over the world, and I really miss the UK and Scotland. I've been there, spent quite a few times out in Scotland as well, investigating some of the beautiful castles. Oh my gosh. So I'm envious of you guys with all your history.
England and Scotland and that have got some amazing and beautiful places over here.
Yes.
They're very intriguing and that, and I absolutely do love investigating it, but my tendencies are to be moving to America because I am very addicted to America, especially for the UFOs and for the paranormal. So I'm taking a road over the seas at some point in the future. But I will definitely be coming back here to do investigations. You can't beat England for investigations.
And they always say the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Well, I'm about to find out, I'm sure.
I must admit, my perfect place to locate to do an investigation is like a little like a little wooden bridge in somewhere like Tennessee, like you see in
Oh
the
yeah.
films, where like
Mhm.
Crybaby Bridge or something. If I ever get to somewhere like that, then I'll know that I've made it as a paranormal investigator, because that's
Well,
my dream place.
oh, that's
Hello,
awesome.
June Nixon. Is that somebody that knows you, Ross? There's somebody in the room called June Nixon. She's saying
Yeah,
that
she's
you're an
actually
awesome
my
person.
VP.
Oh,
Welcome,
hello. Well,
June.
welcome to the room, June. It's really nice to have you here.
Welcome.
So, we are just your average investigators, and we've got a big passion in what we do, and we love what we do. So, for us, it's just as exciting as it is for the guys in the room that you're on here, because there's so much that we all want to ask you, because we only do the basic side of it. We don't go to TV. I'm not saying we don't look into scientific side of stuff, but we don't do that so much. For us, it's more the investigating and understanding the spirits and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So it'd be really good to hear from you. I've got 14 questions for you, so I'm sure a lot of it's going to get answered, because I intend to make sure I get to the point
No, I
that
hear
I
you.
want to say. Um, I just want to say a quick hello to everybody in the room as well. I don't want to make them feel left out. So we've got Sam, hello, June, which is to do with Ross, hello. Very nice to have you in here, sweetheart. We've got Dobby Socks, we've got Drew, my sis. We've got West Haven, always and forever, hello, my darling. We've got lovely Tommy, which is one of our UFO guys. Hello, sweetheart. And to Tim as well, if you're watching.
Yeah, UFO
I've also
man's
got
in.
Golden Bonkers and Pups from Chasing Bones Inspectors, Luna, and all those as well that will probably come in at some point.
West
So,
Haven as
hello to
well.
all of you.
Welcome, family.
So,
Welcome, new family as well.
and to the new family, definitely. We're always open to new people, definitely. We're a very welcoming community and a very caring community, and we very much care about what we do. So, it's really good to get new people over. So,
Mhm.
Welcome.
let's get Ross into this now then. So, what I would like you to do, Ross, is explain a little bit about yourself, what you do, and about your books and things like that. Give people a little bit of information around how you've got into what you are and who you are today.
You bet.
Hang on a minute, let me put you up to full so people can actually see your amazing face. There we go. So, hang on. There
Well,
we go.
I've been in the field for a little over 30 years now. I travel all over the world. I've done, gosh, probably over 500 investigations or more. I've written going on 11 books now. I also run the oldest ghost hunting group in the Pacific Northwest, known as the GHOST, which stands for the Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle Tacoma. I've been featured on all the television shows, and I'm actually working on my own project, and we are developing more scientific technology. We are pursuing the field in more of a scientific level, and it is called Parasense. And we are actually the first, to my surprise, to actually focus our attention on touch when people have claimed that they have been, pinched, grabbed, pushed, in any form or another by something paranormal. I was just kind of curious about that phenomenon. I wanted to see if we could validate these very personal encounters. And so, with the docuseries coming out, Parasense, you can follow our journey in trying to validate those encounters. Also, if you are in the Seattle area, I actually run Spooked in Seattle tours where we do ghost tours. I also have the first death museum in the Northwest. So we carry a lot of funeral coffins, mourning attire, all that kind of fun stuff. So I think that covers most of it.
Okay, so let's bring it back to all three of us then. There we
Sounds
go. So
interesting, very
that's a little
interesting,
bit of
yeah.
information about Ross. As I said, at the end of the show, just before, I will show you the two posters that Ross sent me through Messenger, so you can see that as well. Which is his Parascience for his book and the Parasense for his documentary. So you know what it looks like, guys.
Well,
That's interesting. people haven't really thought of that before is the para touch, because
Yeah.
as we do, we'll hear like the sound and different things, but the touch, yeah, because I
And
was
they're all
touched by a
rules,
little boy spirit
yeah.
at a castle, and it felt like velvet across my hand,
Oh,
and
wow.
I've never ever felt that before or
Wow.
after. And
Yeah.
it felt like velvet. That's the only way I can describe it.
No, in fact, if you remind me after the show, I can even send you a link to our teaser. If you go to our, even
That would
if
be
you go to our
amazing.
website, if you go to our website, Touched by a Ghost, you can actually see the teaser there. We have the teaser of
Okay,
what we've been doing, so that might be something you can share as well.
I have
perfect.
also,
Thank you.
guys, put Ross's links to how you can get hold of him. There's 4 links. There's the main one that he wanted, which was the
Yeah.
Touched by a Ghost com. And then I've put the other 3 links that I'd sent to him that I was going to put up yesterday. So these are links you can follow him on as well, guys. So please hit them
I'll keep
because
sharing
he's
them,
an amazing
guys.
guy. So what we'll do is we'll get into doing some questions and stuff, and then you guys can ask questions, and then we can get into a little bit of a chit chat if there's anything that guys want to know, because I know that these guys will probably ask you loads of stuff. I will warn you,
Bring
and
it
that it
on.
will probably get busier.
And caps, please.
But I'm going to start with what got you interested in investigating in the paranormal. What got you into it, Ross?
I've always blamed my mother. I have a mother that loves ghost stories, so I grew up listening to all these amazing tales of the paranormal, and that just really intrigued my curiosity. I was just like, do people really experience this stuff? And so that's what really started it for me. And then would go to the library and check out every paranormal book that I could find. And then it just kind of went into the fact that I had lived in California and I really wanted to get involved in the paranormal field. So I had the opportunity to do a lot of Lloyd Arbach. He's one of our registered parapsychologists in the Northwest here. And I got to do a lot of his lectures, and that really just pushed me into the field of wanting to do ghost hunting. But then when I moved back to Washington, there wasn't any ghost hunting groups. And I really wanted to do some ghost hunting. It was around Halloween, and I called all my buddies. I said, "Hey guys, let's go check out a cemetery down the street." And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds great, but let's hit the bars first." So I realized having a bunch of drunk people following me around in a cemetery is probably not a good thing. So
Yeah,
I figured there's got to be some other people that are very serious about this. And a friend of mine just said, "Why don't you just start your own group?" So I started Ghost, and it just took off from there. Now I'm the only full time ghost hunter in the Northwest.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is good to be able to do that as an ambition and then be able to fulfill it. And a lot of people on here want that sort of thing as well. They want to be able to make it their own. So it's really good to hear that it can happen, because a lot of people here think it can't
Yeah.
because they feel that they're small because it's YouTube and things like that. When you can get noticed anywhere if you're very good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome advice. Your next question: did you have experiences with the paranormal from a young age? Did you experience anything from a young age?
Well, my mother had told me a story that I had as a kid, but I don't remember it. Um, and it was just a story where I had claimed to have seen something in the woods, and what ended up happening is the I guess her friends. I was at her friend's house and claimed that there was something up there. It freaked me out, and I went rolling down a hill or something because I had seen something. And so they ended up sending like everybody in the neighborhood up in the woods to see if they can find it, and they couldn't find anything that I claimed to have seen. And they thought, well, maybe it was a bear, but there's no bears around here. And I was just like something like that because they said I saw this big dark figure. So I don't remember it. I guess I was young enough that I could easily have forgotten that experience. But
Yeah,
for me, my experiences that I really do remember is after starting my group and really
yeah.
getting involved in the field.
Is
So
there anywhere that
could you
keeps
maybe tell
drawing you
us a little bit
back?
about some of your experiences in your group then? If not really got one as from being a child, you can talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you bet. I actually had my first physical encounter when we were investigating Alcatraz. And if you're not familiar with Alcatraz, it is a very famous prison that a lot of people, tourists, can go visit now. Um, but its history, it actually started out as a old military base. Then it became the military prison before it became the state penitentiary that we are more familiar with. And when we got to investigate, we were one of the first few teams to actually go out to the island, investigate, even spend the night on the island. And they had opened up a lot of locations that weren't open to the public. And one of those places was the morgue. Now, this is where they stored the prisoners that were killed on the island before they shipped them off to San Francisco. So I was the first to venture into the morgue area. Now, you have to go down this long corridor that goes down into the underground. And as soon as I got to this little tiny room, I wanted to get pictures of the entrance. Now, I'm the first to enter into this room. I'm making my way across. All the members are starting to filter in behind me. And so, as I'm trying to take this wide angle shot of the entrance, I'm backing up and I'm looking through the viewfinder. This is, before digital cameras were a big thing. So I'm looking through the viewfinder, stepping back, getting the widest angle. And someone put their hand on my shoulder and stopped me. So I looked over to apologize to the member that I had backed into the corner, and there was nobody behind me. Now, I physically felt the weight of a hand of a man, pressure of his fingers, and again, it physically stopped me as I was taking a step backwards. I was expecting to see one of my members. I was not expecting to not see anything.
Right.
So for me, that was probably one of the most incredible experiences, especially when it came to my first physical encounters.
That sounds amazing as well.
Yeah, most people
Obviously,
that
for
get
me,
into this has had an experience, isn't
to,
it? That's made them push on for answers.
Right.
for me, I have lots of experiences. I have a lot of experiences because I have abilities and I'm able to see and communicate with them. So I have a lot of the touching and that. But I can understand my first time being touched and being amazed by it. And the fact
Yeah.
that they can feel so alive when they do it, it doesn't even feel like it's a spirit. It does feel like a physical person
Right.
stopping you. It does. It's amazing what they can make you feel like when they're around you. It's
My
And
first
if
experience was
unbelievable.
I felt as if I was taking a panic attack, as if they were taking my breath. But now I know that doesn't last. It only lasts a couple of seconds. But at first I thought, oh, I'm going to go into a full blown panic attack. But now I know it just lasts a couple of seconds, and that's their way of letting you know they're around.
right.
But it can be
And,
scary your first time, yeah.
and the thing is me, I'm always trying to debunk things first. And when
Yeah.
you know there's nobody standing around you, and the fact that it physically stopped you as you were, making the motion going backwards, you can't blame that on just your jacket settling. You
No.
know,
Exactly.
There's just some things that you cannot explain and you can't
right?
debunk it. Like there are just things there that's like that. You know,
Oh yeah,
Not that
it's
many
simple when it's
spiders walking your
electricity
head.
and stuff like that. It's easy to set devices off. That's why you do your base sweeps and things to find that out. But when you've got somebody physically touching you and there is nothing else to explain that, there's nothing there. It is an amazing experience. Hello, pups and mittens, by the way.
Go down mittens. Is there anywhere that you've ever been that you've kept you keep feeling the pull to go back to?
well, there's a lot of places. Being having the opportunity to travel all over the world and investigate this stuff, you learn, being in this field as long as I have, that it is all about being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I can go to some of the places that have been labeled the most haunted in the world. I've been to Chillingham Castle, and it's got its, lores and legends of being, the most haunted. And yeah, we had some interesting things happen there, but, from all the stories you hear, it's not as terrifying as people would say or claim it is. Maybe I just wasn't there at the right place at the right time. But there's a lot of places that I would love to go back. I'd love to go back to Chillingham Castle. I had, and I'll share this with you, Drew, because this is in your backyard. We actually got to spend, I think it was about 4 nights at Roslyn Castle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was an amazing experience just to have that place to yourself.
Self,
Just sit there in the old, cottage right there on the property. You got the fireplace, going, and you got
just
a,
live
a
like
toilet
Vader
that
for
likes to flush
24
itself.
hours. That'd be brilliant, be amazing.
Oh yeah, and then underneath is like, 3 layers of dungeon.
Hmm.
So throughout the night, you could just, go down in the dungeon and do your own little investigation.
I would have to
So,
take like an old candle light and totally live like them.
I think I would
That'd be
have to as
amazing,
well.
wouldn't it? Go
oh yeah,
back in time.
and that right there is such an amazing experience. And
Yeah.
June was with me, and we both really want to go back and have that experience again, and have that quality time in some of these places, because that's one of the
Yeah.
things that we lack as paranormal investigators. A lot of times we get such a short window of opportunity to investigate these places, and as I said, all about being at the right place at the right time. You're not
Oh yeah.
guaranteed within that 4 to 6 hour window to have something happen. So to have the opportunity to spend the night and have these 24-hour experiences or more, it just gives you more opportunities to have hopefully those encounters.
Yeah, because I think the spirits have to get used to you. I mean, if somebody walked into your home and expected you to talk straight away and be totally friendly, I think it's a bit unrealistic. You have to kind of get to know people before you want to open up and tell your story and things. So, you know, you have
Yeah.
to spend a
We
good
actually
few
don't know
hours.
where the echo is coming from, lovely Ross, but I'm glad that you guys are loving the echo and the effects. They're saying they're loving your effects of your echo. It makes you sound very cool.
Okay.
So they like that. Right. So,
We maybe need to mute one person speaking at a time.
yeah, like when we talk, we're okay. It's not us. You can definitely tell that it is Ross that's got the special effects going on over there.
Yeah, actually, I
Ross,
can
the
try.
spirits have been picking on us all night.
Yeah, we've had that as well.
I can try doing it without the headphones, so maybe that might do it.
You can
But if
try.
everybody's okay with it, I
Yeah,
don't.
that's fine.
So let me see if this. Does that work? Can you hear me?
That's better. Is there still an echo, guys?
All right, how's that?
Yeah, you have to go back, June.
See, I
You've
still hear
still
the
got an
echo.
echo.
Right.
Maybe the
Is it
computer wants him to
unbearable?
sound different.
Let
Yeah.
us know if it's unbearable in chat.
It's not. It's fine. Everybody
Is
was
it
liking it
okay?
anyway.
Right.
All right.
So, number 3 question. What made you want to write your books, Ross, on your paranormal experiences and other things? What made you get into writing books?
Well, for me, publishing the material is very important. As we've learned now, as ghost hunting has become so popular for such a long time now, a lot of these groups appear out of nowhere and then they just disappear.
Yeah.
And any experiences that they have goes with them. Their website gets taken down, any evidence that they've collected is gone, and we're losing a lot of that data, which is very important. And so for me, publishing is forever. Once you get that book out, it's out there, even it'll be out there when my time comes.
Yeah.
And so I really felt that getting those stories out there was very important. And it also gives people, if they have the opportunity to investigate these places that I've researched and written about, a basic route as to what's going on. Because I've also found with a lot of things when it comes to stories of the paranormal, it's all copy and paste that we see throughout the internet.
Yeah.
Everybody's telling the exact same story over and over and over again. And so we're losing a lot of details and a lot of important information. And even bad stories or fake stories are getting overpublished. And so I really made it a goal that if I'm able to debunk some of these stories, I will publish it in the book. And I will put all the facts out there and say, hey, this is why this story is not true. And it's very important for us paranormal investigators to have the correct information when we go in and investigate. Because ghost hunting, yeah, it's very fun and exciting, but when you got too many people that are in it for all the wrong reasons, for
The
popularity
Lizzie
reasons and
House
stuff,
was is the most
it,
famous for that, isn't it? I
yeah,
mean, the
and
facts that
it,
was put out about Lizzie Borden was just terrible, and it's 80% was not real.
yeah,
It's only
and all
just
that
now
does
the
is,
truth's coming out.
and it just muddies up the water.
Yep.
And
And
it,
we really have to have a clear idea of what it is we're up against when we investigate these places. So
Yeah.
that's what really inspired me to write these books and to do the series Haunted with David Weatherly.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's good that you've wrote your books because obviously, yeah, for those reasons, but also it will help people to be educated a little bit more on how to do investigations and about different places. Because I do find with being in the paranormal field, when you've got people out there that are not so genuine, it makes it so hard for the people that are genuine that do this work as well. So it's really good to have people that you can follow and trust in as well. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And people need to be patient and build up the the relationship with the spirits. They can't just go into a castle ruin and expect all the spirits to talk to them, tell them their story. They have to put the time in and go back, time after time, listen to their evidence, go back, base your questions on what you got the last time, and build up a relationship. Too
Yeah,
many
that's
people
really
think it's as
important.
quick like that, and it's not. That's when they
No,
do
it's
get
not.
bad
And
entities.
and that's where a lot of these shows are very misleading when it comes to the television shows because they convince the audience that the case can be solved within, a 4-hour investigation.
No, but
And
it can't.
it
Like a
can't.
quick cleansing will do it, and that's not the case.
No,
It can take days, it can take months in some circumstances, sometimes even years. It depends on the
exactly.
situation that you're working with. And
Yeah.
it's very important to understand that when you're coming into the paranormal. I think that it's not an easy job. Yes, it's fun, it's interesting, exciting, but there is a very serious side to it as well that you've got to take seriously. Like we've always said that when you're an investigator, yeah, it's okay to investigate, but your main reason should be about the spirits. It should be about the locations, the history, and that is the main thing for being an investigator. That is to want to help and to understand, and evidence comes after that. In
Right.
my eyes.
Right.
But I don't like the fact that the minute that a spirit starts to get a little bit anxious, I mean, it starts off, they maybe flicker your lights and then they'll do
Yeah,
slam a door or something to get your attention. Automatically, these people start thinking that it's bad, it's demonic. But
yeah,
you
you
say to
get a
them,
lot of them
no,
say that.
they did subtle things first to try and get your attention, but you're not listening, and that's why they start flickering
Exactly.
the lights and maybe being a wee bit more
But
pushful.
anyone in
But
the
that's the thing.
paranormal field that knows the paranormal knows that the chances of coming past the demonic spirit
I
is
know.
very, very small. It
Mhm.
happens,
Please just
but
take the
it's very
chance to
small.
listen to them. And most
Yeah,
But
of the
see,
time, all the banging, the bumping will stop the minute you acknowledge it.
right.
You know.
But the shows are really pushing that
Yeah,
because that
yeah,
makes
that's what I'm
great
saying. That's where
TV.
people get
yeah,
mistaken, don't they? They think
Right.
that
They
it's
they
worse
want
when it
to
isn't.
push the demonic part because, again, it's great TV, the drama, and they've proven that we're drawn to it. You see a bad accident to the side of the road, we all want to stop and look.
Yeah,
That's the mentality that we tend to go towards. And so when there's a lot of drama, and they want to label everything demonic, and
and
that's a
they
very
try
tough
and
thing for
make
me
it
because
act as
I
if
get
the
go ahead.
simplest wee prayer and a priest putting his hand on you, will get rid of this, it'll get eliminate this entity as well. And sometimes if there is a real possession, it could take months and years. You're
Hmm.
trying to expel the spirit out of that person,
And in
yeah,
some circumstances, they don't get the help. In
yeah,
some circumstances, it doesn't work.
it's
You know, there
also
are some serious sides to it.
false and dangerous.
Oh, I love it when the ghost hunter is bringing their equipment to the investigation, and they set it on the table, and it says demon,
Yeah,
and then they all start freaking out. People don't understand. There's no device that's going to tell you you have a demon in your home.
No,
That
it's
doesn't
all
exist.
tricksters.
And if you go to biblical scripture, a demon is not going to let you know it's there. The purpose of a demon is to manipulate the living to commit sin. So they
yeah,
will,
they're
pretend to be
unseen.
your Aunt Mary or your cousin Floyd before they'll ever say, is there a demon in the room? Oh yeah, I'm right over here, just to let you know.
I'll
But
perform
as
for
my pastor,
YouTube.
Count Mountain, has said on several occasions as well, sometimes these spirits that are in the places will say these things to you because they don't want you to communicate. They know that your reaction is going to be to freak out if you hear the word demon. So they say things like this to get rid of you, like because they know that it's going to work. They're not silly. They're very clever in what they do. They are still people. They just don't have a physical body anymore. They've become more capable. They're more stronger, yes, but a lot of these situations where you go and you hear the word demon come over the box, it's just a spirit warning you. Like, what you've got to remember is when you go to these locations and these places, not all spirits are going to want to talk to you.
Yeah,
And if you're
want to
not
mess
listening
with
to them,
you.
they're going to use a way to get through to you. And they'll use the most scariest things they know that you don't like. And they're going to say that. Because when you're going into a location, it's not a location, it's their home, it's their
Mhm.
place, it's where they belong. So spirits will say a lot of things to get rid of you, and 9 times out of
Yeah,
10,
I'm a firm
don't go to an
believer.
investigation and every time you hear a demonic spirit think it's a demon, because it's not. It's just a
I think
spirit warning you off.
90% of the
Or
get outs, go home is your guides. I really do believe that
yeah,
90% of the get outs is your guides
yeah,
warning you
warning you.
about
Yeah,
something.
Or maybe they're just poking fun at you and just say, I love to see you scream and run away.
and that as well, they do get a thrill in
We
seeing
all
us
know what
freaking the
you
hell
came
out. You know
for.
what I mean?
You
They
just get it
do.
over with.
Yeah, they definitely
I
love
mean, then
that.
I
They
asked
do.
Mr. Mackenzie, I says to Mr. Mackenzie for Greyfriars, why do you scratch people? And he says, because they want me to. And it's true. People go to Greyfriars because they want to be attacked.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah, he's giving them what they want.
He
exactly.
just
You know.
gives them what he wants.
Well, it's funny if you watch a lot of these shows, the ghost hunters are going in saying, "Give us a sign, give us a sign." Scratch me, push me, prove to me that you're here. And then when they do it, they scream and run out.
Yeah, and I've noticed this also on YouTube as well. I've watched teams where they've gone into a place, they've been very disrespectful, they've told spirits that are meant to be negative to do certain
Hmm.
things. Something happens to them, and then on the next day they're online bitching the fact that they got slapped and whatever. I said, well, you asked for it, you asked them to do it, you're
True.
disrespecting them. What do you expect? It's
True.
not
It's
like
all
no human
respect,
person
isn't
is
it?
going to let you come in their home and talk to them that way. They're going to react. So do the spirits. They're still people. They've got feelings.
Yeah,
Right.
June, Mr. Mackenzie's my friend. He's one of my guides.
And
Awesome.
June, you seem like a very interesting person as well. If you go out with Ross, if you're ever interested in a interview with us, you're more than welcome. If you feel you need support and want Ross to come up with you, I'm sure you can sort that out. So,
Well, when you get us
you'll,
started, it'll never end.
because like for me, I don't like. I used to watch TV programs and stuff like that, and I found. Like at first, I found it really interesting, things like Ghost Adventures and things like that. But then, as time went on, I become very bored of them because I was doing it myself, and I was seeing the real way to investigate.
Mhm.
I see how much of it was put on. I'm not saying that they're fake or anything like that, but a lot of it is staged or is
Right.
done a certain way to
Mm-hmm.
make people be engaged. Okay, so
Right.
Or it's
for
took
me,
days and days
the
and
only
days of
true way
filming.
of investigating
Yes.
is doing it yourself. I don't watch TV as it is any sort of TV, and I don't watch
Neither
them
do
sort of
I.
programs anymore either. Like,
Yeah,
I
I don't
think they
watch them
spend
anymore
about a week
either.
filming
Yeah,
and
I
then
stopped
use
watching them.
snippets.
I was gonna say I
Sorry.
stopped watching because I find myself constantly yelling at the TV.
Yes, that as
You
well.
know, like they're using the equipment wrong. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
And it got to that point with me as well. Like in the end, I
Or
thought, well,
they miss half of what
what's
it's
the point of me
saying.
watching it? Because I spend most of the time shouting at it and don't hear anything that they're saying. So it's just
Mhm,
pointless,
mhm.
Yeah, I think they
right in
miss
my
an
eyes.
awful lot of it.
Yeah.
They miss an awful lot of
Nuts.
answers.
So
Right,
number
next
4,
question, I think.
Ross, is how did you become successful and known in the paranormal field? What got you to be known for your name today?
I think the road to my success has been my open and honesty in this field. You can look, and I don't have thousands and thousands of videos of terrifying evidence. It's just evidence like that is really rare to come by,
It
and
is,
you
yeah,
always have
I
to
agree.
question people or teams that are daily posting something terrifying.
Yeah,
Like, hello, I've been doing this for, going on over 30 years. I've been to some of the most haunted places you can imagine. And it's very rare that you actually walk away with some pretty interesting evidence. But
yeah, no,
yet
I
you've
agree.
got all these teams and all these investigators that are posting things almost every weekend of amazing stuff. And I don't do that. I'm very thorough in my research and what we do publish as what we believe to be evidence. I don't have tons and tons of outrageous stories to scare people in my experiences. To be honest with you, I think I probably have a good, 3 to 4 good scary experiences in all the years I've been doing this that I'll tell
Same.
people.
I've done it for 20 odd years and I've probably got about 3 situations. One
Yeah.
was where I was really badly attacked by a demonic spirit that I was having to remove from somebody's house. There were several actually, due to something stupid that had been done. But
Yeah.
apart from that, those several occasions, that it is mainly just been normal spirit. It's very rare to come
Mhm.
across anything that sinister and
Right.
stuff. And I think that not just the TV programs, but sometimes even the films that they make people think the most worst.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Which feeds, especially to people that are having real, true life hauntings, it feeds that fear because they're like, oh my
Exactly.
god, it's like this, so it means this is going. And it's not normally like that. You know,
Right.
like the most important advice that I give to anybody that's going through that is do not show fear to them because obviously in a negative situation that feeds a negative energy. So you need to keep control of your home, control of you. As long as you're in control of yourself, then you've got some control and you seek help. That is what you do. Don't freak out and start thinking the worst is going to happen because in 9 times out of 10 situations can be sorted out if you get the right help.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And,
So
and we're taught to be afraid of this stuff. The
yes, we
media, the
are. It's
movies,
drummed in it.
they've taught us
Yeah,
that we're supposed to be afraid when you hear a bump in the night.
yeah.
And in most
That's
cases,
why I
that's not
started
the case.
liking this stuff. My mum
Hmm.
always gave us a story on a Friday night, and it always started. It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah.
3 men sat by a fire. And it used to put the fear of God in all us, but we loved it. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuck with me, and that's how I like being scared.
Well, there's a lot of psychological explanations to this. We love the adrenaline rush. That's why theme parks are
Yeah,
so popular. That's why haunted houses, attractions, I should say, are so popular, is because we like that element of being afraid. That's why horror movies are so popular. It's because it's built into us. We like that excitement.
yeah, I agree. Most definitely do agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, it kind of
And
puts the
yeah,
hairs in the
it is
back of
built
your
into
neck
us
up.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Question number 5. Do you believe in the science of paranormal? If so, why do you believe in the science side of paranormal? Now, I know that you do, but I wanted to ask this question so you could kind of explain to the others.
Well, yes, I believe more science needs to be applied to this field. We're at a point where most education comes from people's watching episodes of these television shows. They think, oh, I'm an expert in the paranormal because I've seen every episode of Ghost Adventures. That's like me saying I can perform operations because I've seen every episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Exactly.
You know, there's so much more to this field that anybody that's interested in the paranormal really don't see. They don't see the behind the scenes. Most people aren't out there doing the daily work when it comes to ghost hunting. So right now we are dealing with the fact that there is a lack of science. We are also dealing with the fact that a lot of the equipment that ghost hunters are dependent on is very suggestive. It's not real science. And so, we're at a point where people want instant gratification. The television shows want instant gratification. They want to keep everybody engaged. They want to, as a ghost hunter, when you're sitting around in the dark waiting for something happening, you want something to be engaging with you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're bored and you'll fall asleep on the investigation. But real ghost hunting is a lot of that boredom, that
Yeah.
tedious
Waiting.
work of sitting around waiting for something to happen. And it's not always going to happen, or it's not always going to be in your face happening. A lot of it
No.
is going to be having to go back and reviewing your videos and reviewing your audio. And most people don't want to do that anymore. They just want to have that, in your face experience. And that's not science.
No.
You holding an EMF detector, walking around and waiting for it to go off, that is not science. It doesn't prove anything because a lot of people are unaware of how the equipment actually works. So you have to be aware of other elements that produce EMF readings. And we're also dependent on devices that give a lot of false readings as well. The K2 meter that everybody sees on the ghost hunting shows is notorious for giving off false readings. But they're so dependent on it because it jolts that excitement of, oh my God, my K2 meter just went off. And they want to say, oh my God, it's a ghost. But I rarely see, even on television shows, people trying to find the source of the EMF reading before they label it paranormal. When I say try to find the sources, is if you are going to be using any type of EMF device, you always have to take it to the floor, take it to the wall. Are you making sure that your cell phone is in airplane mode or turned off or away from you? Because all those types of things can give you false readings, especially if you're
Yeah.
going into old places. A lot of people
Yeah.
are unaware that the old wiring in old buildings are not very well insulated, so it can easily give off high EMF readings. And so people are dependent on that as being proof to the paranormal. So, getting back to your question, when it comes to science, there's not a lot of science out there when it
No.
really comes to ghost hunting. And when you're talking about science, we're talking about data logging, collecting the information and comparing it to baseline readings, comparing it to readings when you think you may have had some sort of paranormal experience. What kind of spikes are you getting? And is there anything that can actually debunk that spike? You have to be aware of your surroundings. And most groups
Yeah.
don't even know how to produce a controlled environment. I've been
Yes.
on so many investigations with other groups, and the biggest problem that I see is they want to invite everybody on the investigation. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
When you go on an investigation and you've got, 20 people hanging around with you doing the investigation, that's including the clients on the property.
It's a
That
bit
is too
energy,
many
isn't
people.
it?
That's too much contamination.
Yeah, how do you know
Yeah.
whose energy's what?
So
I
you
have
really
a
need
I
to
have a
learn
small
how
group
to
of
do
five
small
people plus
teams.
me, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so small teams are very important. And having a controlled environment, understanding your environment, doing a sweep, having a baseline,
And a person
having a
needs to do
baseline during the
everything.
day, not
Uh-huh.
always just at
yeah,
night.
that's some one thing that I do very much. So I'll go to places in the daytime, then go to it in the evening when I know.
Hmm.
I do like to write down everything that I experience, including meter readings and things like that. I do like to write all of my stuff down because it
It's
does
handy
tell a
for
story,
next
especially if
time.
you're going back to that place and you look at a reading from a previous time and then you're looking at it this time, something's changed there. That may mean something different is going on. And
Hmm.
like you said, it is important to debunk things as well. That is very true. And
I think
I
everybody's
do
got to
feel that
have
you
their
need to
own
document
job
more.
as well. Somebody's got to be like the lead investigator, the camera person, maybe even the meter person that goes run about and takes all the readings and things, because it can get a bit, if there's more than four of you, it can get a bit confusing as who's done what, who can
Hmm.
do what, you know. So you have to have a bit of structure as well. No, everybody can be the
Yeah, man, and that's
communicator.
like because of me being the main person and being the leader, I normally be the one that walks around with the camera because I try to get the most. And I have somebody
Yeah,
that's
me
on
as
the
well,
EMF, I have
typo.
somebody else that's on the K2, somebody on the EVP, and I intend to send them off on in twos or send them off on their
Yeah.
own. I do a lot of my investigations on my own with nobody with me. I'll walk through graveyards and woods on my own at night and do my investigations. That's how much
I
I'm
think that's the
addicted to
best time.
paranormal.
I
Hmm.
do. You're
But
alone.
It's one of those things that again, we're finding that it's become the blind leading the blind
yeah,
because everybody's just imitating what everybody else is doing. There is far few people actually trying to collect real data to validate what we're trying to prove. And I hate to say it or even to think it that I'm one of the few people that is out there that is really trying to produce structured investigations. I know, and don't get me wrong, I know there's other people out there that have the same mindset. You guys, want to get there as well, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to help everybody that wants to better themselves and investigating the
yeah.
paranormal. That's awesome. Let's all come together and do this.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
is
too
one of the
many people
reasons I
think
brought
it's
you up
just for
here today
YouTube.
as well.
That's the point. Too
I,
many
That's
I,
why
people
I brought
think
you
it's
up, because
just
I
to put a
wanted them to
video up
see
for
from your
YouTube.
point of view and understand from your point of view. I think it's really important to get it from somebody that's been doing this the way that you do it. I think people will listen more. I'm not saying that me and Drew don't get listened to.
Yeah.
We're quite big in this community, just like our pups is. We're very appreciated by our people, but it's good to bring somebody that is like us, but
Already
I'm going to say more
established.
educated, because you are more educated than us because you've done a lot more things. So, but it's good to come together as a community, because I think the paranormal community should be connected as well, and we should all be able to work together. There's so much hate and problems that go on in the
oh yeah,
paranormal community.
the
People need to
paradrama we
come
call it.
together more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to kind of bring everybody together, especially the ones that's already got the good proof, such as
Yeah,
yourself, that's probably got a lot of good evidence, that
yeah,
you can come along to maybe one of our channels and show us what you've got, and then that helps us younger, not so established people see that if you work hard and you keep at it, you can get good evidence without having to take the quick fixy faking things and different things. Like if people like you come along and say, look, work at it, work hard, and look what you can capture.
Right.
If you go, you would. A lot of people go where they don't know if there's spirits or not. Go somewhere where you know there is spirits for a start.
Well, I think
paradrama. Yeah, there is a lot of paradrama, sadly, in this
Yeah, we
community, and
don't
it's
listen. We
really
don't
not
even
needed.
acknowledge paradrama.
yes. No, I get it. I've experienced it myself.
Yeah, we just
You
Oh
don't
know,
yeah,
there's
acknowledge it.
dealing
Don't
with
even talk about it.
dealing with a lot of the
Yeah,
egos out there.
yeah.
The know-it-alls.
yeah.
I
The
I
don't
ones that
claim
just
think
to
they're
know
think
it
that we
better.
all.
can all
Yeah,
You
support
know,
each other. I mean,
yeah.
we're all out for the same common goal, which is to prove spirits exist and that they live amongst us, and that when your loved ones die, you can still feel them around you and communicate with them around you if you're open to the feeling of it,
Hmm.
and teach people how to do it safely.
just being open as a community and having a community that you can come to and trust is what the most important thing in the paranormal
That's
field.
it.
Like, I remember when I first started out, I'd go to some of these really big named ones, and they would completely ignore me because I was new. They didn't want to know me because I didn't know certain
They
things,
still
or I
do
didn't
that in
do things
some
their way,
chats.
and I would be
Hmm.
disrespected. Do you know what I mean? And I was just as good as them, and
Yeah,
that
if
could be
not
quite
better.
hurtful. So all my time on the 7 years I've had here, it's always been about reaching out to my guys here and helping them and educating and learning
Yeah,
them as
doing
best as I
paradrama.
can. Like being that support network that a lot of people don't have on there. That's what
Right.
my sister Drew's like. That's what my pups is like, and our other people in our community as well. We're all about helping each other as well and helping new people that are coming in.
There's
and
too many people
helping
quick to
teams that
put
are
each
meant
other
to be
down.
known. You know,
And there's so many much people out there that catch good evidence. So
yeah,
instead of slating people for what they might have faked or not got, why don't we build people up and show people that they're good evidence, that when you work hard you do this and you do that, and uplift people instead of bringing them down, because it just brings the full community down if we bring, you know, build
Well,
each
the
other
big
up, grow together, you
no,
know.
it's great. And the biggest problem we have in this field is that we don't have any set protocols.
no,
Everybody seems to investigate their own way.
yeah,
Yeah.
And without having any set protocols, when it comes to evidence, especially good evidence, we're always going to question each other
yeah,
because we don't know how we each investigate.
Uh-huh.
And so that is one of the biggest problems is if we can't trust each other in investigating the paranormal, we're never going to be able to advance ourselves. So we have to come together as a community and decide on what we feel that structure should be, what those protocols should be, and we have to follow them every time.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Because when we
yeah,
do go out and we do get something, and sure, you go out and you investigate and you get this great EVP and you want to share it with me, and I know you're following those, protocols that we put in ahead, then I would be able to trust you and say, then okay, if you believe that's paranormal, I know you followed the rules, then we'll put it out there as evidence.
See, that's
yeah,
something that we can all
That's the
talk
way it
about
should be.
then and debate about, is what we think the protocol should be, you know?
Hmm.
What we think is acceptable and that type of
But
thing.
the
I mean,
field is
like
that's
we
so
put little
diverse.
messages out and we put little things out there for people to follow so that they're kind of doing our way, but not,
yeah,
we understand fully that everybody is different and everybody investigates differently, and we're not trying to change that. But
yeah. It's
if
just
there
to
are
be took
certain things put in
serious.
line that's going to make it a successful investigation, then that would be an awesome thing. And we do try to do
It'd
that,
be good.
but it's really hard to get to people because some will not listen to you, some of them
Yeah.
are too busy. So
But there could
But I
I think,
think the
still,
serious people would
regardless
listen. The people
regardless
that's
of how
serious,
you
that
investigate, whether it is on a more metaphysical level, more on a skeptical level, or more, just on a scientific basis, if there is that protocol
yeah,
that we all follow, you could still do things, tweak things in your own way.
yeah, you
But you
could.
just need to make sure if you're going to present anything as evidence
that
that
is
it
done that way. Yeah,
was under
Uh-huh.
those, the scrutiny
yeah,
of the protocol.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
That's the
definitely.
thing. Is I'm not saying you can't go in and be a psychic on an investigation.
No, of
Kudos
course
to
not.
you if you
Uh-huh.
have those gifts. That's awesome. I'm not saying you could be a hardcore skeptic and say this is all crap, but here's something I got.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then we can all come together and say this could be something.
See,
yeah,
that's
But
something as a
again,
community we could
we're
all
fighting
decide
against each
together
other
then.
because
Uh-huh.
we don't know if we can trust each other.
Yep. We could all
exactly.
build up a rapport together, keep adding each other's communities, and then through time, hopefully, we'll all be one big community, and then we can debate these things to figure out what we feel is acceptable as
Mhm.
evidence and what's not acceptable as evidence.
But
Or we
here's
need
the
to work
problem.
harder on proving that a bit clearer, type of thing. I mean, we are the ones that's going to set our own boundaries of what is acceptable. So we should all come together and start um, debating
Building a
what we think is
community.
acceptable.
But here's
Uh-huh.
the
Like we've got
problem
a
too,
community, and we're
is another big problem we have is people don't like to be debated. There's a lot of people out there that there's a lot of pride involved, and when they truly believe that they have captured something paranormal,
Yeah, I
and
know.
if you are out there debunking what they believe, you're the ass.
I know.
you know
I
you,
know.
you obviously are the problem, not the fact that I don't want to be open-minded enough and say, okay, maybe there is something, possibility this could be debunked.
But everybody should take criticism because that's what
yeah,
helps you
you,
grow
you,
and
you would
helps you
like to think,
learn,
but not
isn't it?
everybody can.
Not exactly.
When people submit
Most
me
can't.
evidence all the time, they want my stamp of approval to say that yes, this is paranormal. I cannot do that
No.
because I was not there when the evidence was collected. All I can
Yeah.
do is say, well, it could be this or it could be that. But if you can say that it wasn't those two things, then I could say, huh, then this is definitely interesting. Maybe it's paranormal,
Yeah.
maybe it's not.
That's how we all need to get to know each other a wee bit better in all these different communities so that we learn to trust each other's evidence, watch each
And
other's
and that's
videos,
what Pup
support
said as
each
well.
other.
Like Pup said, no, the biggest problem is trust, and the world's never took it for real. They would
Right.
usually
Exactly.
spend money on research they say is junk science. Like, and
That's
they
a
do.
shame, I
Like,
know.
they would contradict everything, or that they'll make you believe in something that isn't there in that way. And there was a time in the world around Pup's age, even in my age, I'm in my 30s, where paranormal wasn't allowed to be spoke about, and we would
I'm
we
just
were
going to grab
nuts
a
or
drink.
something was seriously wrong with us if we had those sort of abilities or we believed in that. It was something that's supposedly not real,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard to get people's heads around it. There are so many non-believers, and I do like my non-believers, especially if they do change to believe in it.
Well,
But it's just very
skepticism
difficult to reach
is
out
so
in
important
this
in this
community.
field. You know, I always say it's skepticism, having a skepticism in your, train of thought is very important because
It is.
it's going to help you to learn to be able to be more critical in your thinking, to apply common sense when you're out there investigating, and it'll also help you to the debunking process as well. So
Yeah.
I'm all for skeptics. I would love
And
to
I've
have a
I've
skeptic
always
on the
had people
team.
say to me like, right, so you believe in it, but you go in there with an open mind. I said I go in there with an open mind and go in there believing not every place that I walk into is haunted, even though it's been said to be. I go in with an open mind because another thing that you've got to remember as well is when you're investigating and you're doing these things, if you're seriously thinking about those things, then your mind is going to make you hear things that are not actually happening
Hmm.
or isn't the way that you're thinking it's happening. You've got to have that open mind that not
Right.
everything is paranormal. You have to.
Yeah, and that's when I wrote my
Yeah,
book,
definitely.
psychology for the when I'm working on one of my books coming out too, is psychology for the ghost hunter, and I'm really getting into the fact that yeah, we ourselves can be the problem. You
Yeah,
know, you can be influenced by the clients to believe a place is haunted.
yeah,
That's the thing that you have to be aware of, and you really have to be unbiased when you go in and you investigate the paranormal. That's
Yeah.
another reason why I don't bring religion into it. Because if
mm,
you are trying to be scientific, you cannot be biased, and follow a certain religion. It's a very tough field to be in if you want to do it right. And that's where, we have to kind of mold our thought process because you can come into this being a strong believer, and if you are a strong believer you're going to believe everything.
yeah.
You can come into
See,
this
I'm still a
being a skeptic,
skeptical believer.
but then it's going to be a little harder to convince you that you might have experienced something paranormal. So the best way to approach this field is you really do have to train yourself to be down the middle of the road. You really have to follow that thin line, and
Oh
try to
yeah,
stay on
definitely.
that
And
tightrope
even
there.
if you are a full believer as well, like I'm a full believer because of what I am and because of my experiences and the things I've
Hmm.
experienced. I'm a full believer, but I very much always have my mind open to that everything isn't paranormal, and you've got to kind of find out if it is or not. And I know that you're not going to just go into a house and know that minute that it's haunted. You need to get that evidence. You need to see things. Like I always say to any of my clients before going up there, well, if you think your house is haunted, then send me evidence, things that might be going on, and stuff like that. I'll calculate that. Yes, I see things and I feel things and hear things. So I can walk in a house and I can pick up if there's something going on there. But I will still go in there with that mindset that it may not be. Because and
Hmm.
they go, why are you like that? I said, because of my abilities, I have to be like that because I'll be hearing everything. Okay, I need to be able to hear what I know I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, not
I think I'm
what
a
you're putting there,
skeptical
So
believer
and they're like,
because I
that's a
think
good
I've
way to
never
put it.
actually seen like proof with my own eyes yet. Like I've heard DVPs and things when I've played it back, I've maybe seen a couple of orbs and things. I've had the velvet touching my hand. But I think because nothing is actually, except for my experience with my deity, if you like, that's a different story. But I think because I've never really seen an apparition or anything with my eye yet,
Hmm.
I think that's what still keeps the sceptical bit about, you know,
Yeah,
because I've
yeah,
never seen like a spirit dark behind something or, you know, with my
Right.
human eye.
And that's another interesting thing that you bring up, that you have not seen an apparition. I've been in this, like I said, going on over 30 years now, and I have yet to look on and see an apparition. I've seen dark, shadowy figures moving around in the distance, but I have not seen an apparition where I can tell you the sex, I can tell you their clothing, the date of the clothing,
Yeah.
anything like that.
It's like the holy grail, isn't it?
It is, but there'll be people out there that'll tell you they see apparitions every day, you know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Am I
Well,
jealous?
it's
Well,
timing
maybe.
as well and being in the right place at the right time. Being in
That's
the
very
ley
possible.
lines and the proper time that a spirit died and things. I mean,
Hmm.
it's interesting finding out though. I mean, that's why we do it, is because we love it and it's an experience and it keeps you wanting more.
Oh, yeah. Once you have that one experience, it just drives you to continue to have more of those
oh
experiences.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've been doing this for so long, because I remember I had a reporter ask me, well, it's interesting that you've never seen an apparition. Do you think once you see an apparition, you're done? You can move on to something in your life? I'm like, no. Once I see an apparition, then it's
you'll
just
be
going to
looking for
Started.
more.
stir up more
Yeah,
questions,
yeah.
you know? It's just going to
That's the
spark
thing
me
about
for
this
more.
field, is you never get, if you're fully into it and you're fully dedicated to it, there is nothing in this field that is going to stop you from doing it. Don't matter how many apparitions you see, how
That's
many.
just the
There's always
postcard
something new
saying wish you
happening.
were
There's
here,
always new
isn't it?
things turning up. So there's never a bored moment in paranormal, in my opinion. It's
Right.
always forever changing.
And I mean, think about it, every spirit is different, so therefore, every spirit you come across is different. So it's never ever going to be boring or anything like that. It's
No,
even when you go to these different locations, some of them are different. I mean, Edinburgh Castle's got the most magical feeling you'll ever
I
feel.
love it there. Yeah. I've
Hmm.
been there a few times.
It's
Yes.
just magical feeling there.
Hmm.
Even when you're walking up to the castle, up the where the drawbridge and things is, it's the Royal Mile. It's got, you can just feel the history and the pride. It's
What?
in other castles you don't get that.
Yeah. Let's
It's
go on
just
to
an
number
experience.
6. So the sixth question is: have you ever collabed with anyone off of TV, or been in conversation with anybody off of a TV program?
Well, I've worked with a lot of people, on the shows. I knew Jason and Grant from Ghost Hunters well before they even had their television show.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Um,
that is
have
one
I
for, I do like them.
maintained any type of friendship with any of them? Unfortunately, not. A lot of times they get to be so big. Obviously, you don't have that ability to continue to have a relationship with them. Um, I've been on, Ghost Adventures. I've been cut from shows because I would not lie about my
Mhm.
experiences. So I'll be honest with you about that. Um, it's one of those things that, yeah, I've been on a lot of the shows. In fact, I'm getting ready to film for a couple of them coming up soon. Um, it's one of those things that I've learned from watching the shows, that a lot of times you don't always want to associate with yourself with them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I've heard that before, by the way. I know quite
Especially when you see the behind the scenes, and you know what goes on, and
yeah.
you're put in a position that they want you to lie for them, and I just won't do it.
I
I,
know
I
somebody that could
cut
get a
me. That's fine.
contract
You
tomorrow
know.
with British TV and they won't do it.
No.
They just
It's
won't do
sad
it.
that it's like that,
Hmm.
but again, people need to understand they're trying to sell entertainment,
yeah,
not science or proof of the paranormal.
yeah.
Yeah, there's too much rules and too much expectations on you.
So, you know, Yeah, shows can be entertaining. You know, I used to watch them because I used to like to see the places they get into.
And they
But
serve
then
their
after writing my
purpose to bring
books,
it out.
writing the books Haunted, the Haunted series with David Weatherly, I started to find that a lot of these places that they were going into weren't even haunted. A lot of the
Yeah.
stories were bogus, and that was making me mad. So
Did we
that's
not
one of the
talk to
reasons why,
somebody
another
last
reason
week,
why I don't
sis,
watch
that
them.
said that as well?
What's that?
I think me and Sherry spoke to somebody last week. Or we were all watching somebody that was doing an interview and something like that happened to them as well. They went to the
Yeah,
place
I
and
can't
there was
remember who it
nothing.
was, but I know that somebody did say something
And
about
they
that,
went and there
and
was nothing.
that's the reason I don't ever want to be. I don't ever want to be on TV because I would never be able to be untrue, and I would never
To
be able to
me either.
fake my evidence. So I like to be genuine and legit. If I get something, I get something. If I don't, I don't. That's just how it is,
And
And
that's
I couldn't be under TV. Not only that, the simple fact that when you become big and that you get unassociated people you don't want in your lives, you get. I believe that fame changes you. I think that
Yeah.
you're not the person you are anymore. When you look at it, like you watch Ghost Adventures, no offense to them or anything like that, but when Zach and that first started out, they were pure. They were real in what they do. They had passion, and you see over the years where the fame's got to them, and they've changed. Their attitudes have changed.
hmm
Everything just changes, and when you're a proper investigator, it shouldn't be like that. It should be
No.
you all the time,
Well,
the
you
way
got to
that you
understand
always
too.
be.
People don't understand, and a lot of these ghost hunting groups are out there because they're hoping to have a television show. But
Yeah,
they need to understand you don't really make a lot of money. It's more
no,
time than money involved in this. And the
I
fact
just
of the
want to
matter
talk
is,
to
once you sign
spirits.
those contracts, you're their puppets. You
yeah,
have to
exactly.
do
You're
what
never
they
yourself.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been given those contracts, and they clearly say they can manipulate the story, they can manipulate the evidence, and you have to go with it.
yeah,
Yeah, and
you
for
belong to
Because if you're
them,
going to
stores
which
fight
to have
against
to
it,
I
you're
be
going
would
to find
never be able
yourself
to
in
do that.
court.
I don't want to belong to anybody. I could never belong to anyone. I'm myself, so I would never be good
Well,
on
I'm
TV, and I
sorry, but
wouldn't
I
want to
think
be.
the TV paranormal world will go obsolete then because if there's any paranormal enthusiasts out there right now, there's too many different places like Parapost and Shudder and wherever else that you can put all your stuff now. It doesn't need to be on mainstream TV
No, it
anymore.
doesn't.
It can be on these
I
different
know,
things, and you
Tommy, but
don't have
that
to
is
fake
something
it.
I believe that money should go into, sweetheart. Like you say, that there's not a lot of money that goes into ufology, and that I believe that
Uh-huh.
ufology should have money put into it. It's very
Oh,
real,
definitely,
and
aye.
same as paranormal. I think that paranormal and ufology should be took more seriously, and
Well, it's
like
in
you're never going to
colleges
get rid
now.
of TV and films. You never are, but I just hope that through people like us doing what we do today, that's going to make people look away from that TV way and come the real way, sort of thing. Like do it the right way, in my
Right.
opinion.
And people
So
need to understand, yeah, I'm a full time ghost hunter, but I make
yeah,
my money from doing tours, doing lectures, teaching classes, and writing my books.
yeah, but that's the right way.
That's
That is
it.
you being you. Yeah, you're not
Right.
doing
I
it
don't
for the
make
sake of
money
doing it.
ghost hunting.
Yeah,
I
No.
charge nothing,
yeah.
absolutely zero to do an investigation.
I
I
mean, the
don't charge
books and
either.
Yeah.
things is about your experience that you've had with the spirit. You know what I mean? So it's not as if the actual ghost hunting is what gets you your money. It's the communication you get with these spirits and things that you can write about that then gets you your income. So for people to think that they can go out there and connect to a spirit, write a book, and then make hundreds of money, it doesn't work like that. You've got to build up to get to a stage where you've got enough knowledge to communicate with the spirits time after time to
hmm
write a book. And it might not be one spirit, it could be multiple spirits. Just to
Right.
show their personalities and things and how you have to
Hello,
communicate.
Boomer.
Welcome, Boomer.
Yeah, there is that, but also in writing a book, it's about being true to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's about
that's
showing
what I
your
Right.
mean.
evidence, it's
It's about
showing what
having
you've
these
got. It's not just
experiences to
about
write
spirit, it's
about.
about your experiences in
Yeah,
those buildings, in those places, as well as the spirits, and
yeah.
you know,
The
it's about
research.
making a name for yourself for the right reason. You know, don't bring a book out because you're not doing it the right way. You make books because you're
Yeah,
doing it the
that's what
right
I
way. You
mean,
want to
sis. Like,
educate
so
and
many
learn
people
people.
could write a book
So,
and it could be all
and
fake
Ross does that.
experiences.
Ross is genuine and really good
Yeah,
at what he
that's what I
does.
mean.
And, you know, I would say 100% to any of you, yeah, go down the line that Ross does, where you do tours or you do that. That's amazing because that's not you being put on TV and you manipulating things. This is truly your work. So that side is fine. But TV, any of you are thinking about going into TV, I would seriously think about it. Okay, guys,
You don't
because
have to. There's enough
you will
different
change.
things on the internet that you can
That's
put
true.
your
You don't need a
evidence
television
out
show
on.
now.
You don't need to be on mainstream TV.
Exactly. My next question, you kind of already kind of answered this because I said your next question was, do you feel that some people manipulate the activity in paranormal? We kind of really just spoke the next question
True.
anyway,
We
saying
did.
about the TV and how people put
Yeah.
things in there and
Well,
stuff. So
and
we'll
there's a
go one
lot. It's
past
not
that
even
one.
just the television shows, you know.
Even real
There's a
life.
lot of YouTubers
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
that fake ghost evidence.
I know. They're the
They're
worst.
masking a lot. They're manipulating the videos to make them more scarier. They're
Yeah.
constantly, being debunked and proven.
Well,
So
what you
even
call.
a lot of the big streamers out there have been caught faking stuff.
I know.
Just for the subscribers. They want
And
the
a lot of them
subscribers.
admit it and then get more subscribers because they've admitted that they faked a couple of things.
hmm
Yeah. Well, I
The
don't
thing
like
is,
that. You just need to be genuine.
the problem is yeah, a lot of these people are getting into haunted places, and a lot of times they're not getting anything, so they have to manipulate things to make it entertaining for their audience.
Yeah.
But when they actually do capture something paranormal, once they've been caught faking something, even that one time when you think you actually think you have something real, it's garbage
Believe.
because you've
Yeah.
already destroyed your credibility. It just
Yeah.
takes
People
that one
already.
time.
Yep. I know, it's totally
Yeah.
shocking. And
You
it
do need
wastes
to
it
be
for
legit.
everybody else.
Like I know that like there's some people that do little silly things maybe because other people have told them they need to and they do that way. Them sort of people you can forgive if they're willing to change and it wasn't through them and things like that happened.
Yeah.
But
Uh huh. Uh huh.
you know, I when it comes to what you're saying, Ross, with like the proper investigators that do that on purpose, yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm just posting your links again so that we're keeping that on top. And the
I
Cool.
next
just think that
question,
there's that many different places out there that has got spirits all, around them and in them that there's no need for to fake it. And the people that do fake it, I think they're just scared. So they go in, they make something up quickly and go back out, and that's them. They don't have to face actual spirits. So I think that's what I feel as if they're just actual too scared to do a real investigation.
Well, again, a lot of these people are dependent on subscribers because when you reach a certain level, you make money.
Yeah.
And that's where there's a lot of deception going on in this field as well. Because people watch a lot of these, investigators that are out there dramatizing things and think that that is what the field is really like.
Yeah.
And it's not. I wish
I
it
know.
was. I wish it was that exciting every time we went out.
I know, I
But,
wish that you could go out for 10
yep,
minutes
Tommy,
and
I
turn
agree.
on a camera in a spirit box and you get amazing evidence. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to stand in the cold for 2 hours before they'll even say hello.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and it takes time. It does
Yeah.
take time. And so, question number 8 that I was going to ask you is: are you in tune with the spiritual realm? Like, do you have any abilities? Do you communicate with spirit? Can you feel?
You know, there have been times. I believe everybody has the possibility. I think
Yeah,
we've all gotten lazy through technology that we're not all in tune with ourselves. But I'll be honest, there are times when I've walked into a room and just knew, even without even knowing any information about the site, that this is the room that things are happening. Having that heavy feeling. So yeah, I believe that there are times when I've had those experiences. I don't rely on them. I don't fine tune them because for me, I've always been fascinated with the science.
Yeah,
And I think, for one, I would want to validate those experiences for me, and then that would just be a lot more work. So I depend on those who have those abilities if I'm looking for that information. But for me, it's more about collecting the data rather than the feelings.
yeah. See, like for me in that case, because like I know what you say, like you don't bring like religion and stuff. Like obviously I'm pagan and stuff like that. I have a
Mhm.
religion, and I've had experiences all of my life, since very young. But I very much still believe in the dialoguing of equipment and things like that. So I slightly kind of, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I do feel that like if you're really into it and you understand the techniques of paranormal, then I feel that you can have an ability and have a way, but still be able to do the real way as well. Like I will go in there. I know I can communicate and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, I will shut myself away from that side of it so that I don't see them all the time, so that I can get the legit investigation. I will only bring what I see and feel when I really feel that there's a need. If there's
And that's
something that's
great.
going
And
on
I
in,
think with my approach in collecting the data, I'm one of those people that can help bring the data to validate your experience as well.
yes, yeah, I
So
agree.
that's where I think the two could work great together. If you're
Yeah,
feeling that there's a gentleman standing in that corner, you're picking that up psychically, and I can go in there with some sort of equipment and validate that there is some odd readings here, then we're just both are proving that there's something happening.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that's
And
why
that's
it's
how the
really good
fields
to
could
have
work.
abilities and stuff like that, I think, because it can sometimes validate what you'll see and people can validate with their equipment as well. It's
Right.
interesting. Excuse me. Question number 9. What equipment do you use in your investigations, and what part of your equipment is your favourite? What do you most like using?
Well, I've always told people if you're going to get into this field, the two most important pieces of equipment is going to be a video camera
Yeah.
and audio recording.
Yeah.
And they should be very high quality. You should be recording at 4K at all times if you can. You should have some sort of high end audio recorder because when you do get that possible evidence, you're going to want to have the highest quality to be able to review. Those are the two most important pieces of equipment because we're
Yeah.
trying to capture the phenomena and seeing is believing. All
Yeah.
right. So you need that visual. You're going to want the audio to back up your findings as well.
Yeah. The
Yes,
voice.
I
Yeah.
say, it's great to have the data to back it up, but if you're just starting out, I'm not expecting you to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on various meters to, read the environment because people need to also understand there is no such thing as a ghost meter. There's nothing
Yeah.
out there that's going to tell you you have a ghost in your house. I know there's lots of apps on people's phones that you can tell you have a ghost, but it's just entertainment. That is not real equipment. So please don't depend on those apps to prove that there's something paranormal going on. What we have to do as paranormal investigators is we have to collect a bunch of devices that help us read the environment and lets us
Yeah.
know if there's changes in the environment that we can't explain.
Yeah.
That is the best that we can do right now. Until we have a better understanding of what a ghost is made of, and we still don't know that yet. We can't
Mhm.
even say that an EMF detector is the best tool to use on an investigation because we have not enough proof that a ghost is made out of EMF. We do
Yeah.
believe that there is some manipulation when it comes to EMF. That we do know. But we cannot say that a ghost is made out of EMF. We don't have enough data to prove that.
Yeah.
So we just take a bunch of different devices that read the environment and we hopefully can see if there are changes in the environment to validate that there could be something paranormal going on. That is the best that we can do. So, right now, just get a real good video recorder and an audio recorder. That is where you should start.
Yeah, definitely. And that is what we say, video recorder and audio recorder is the best start out equipment, definitely. There is a question there by Witchy Nicole. She says, how do you feel about the Mandela effects and it being the time jumping to change events?
Well, again, there's a lot of amazing theories out there, and some very well could be right. Some may be off. We're not sure. We don't have enough data to validate them. When it comes to time loops, again, it's very possible, but there is enough evidence out there to show that there is something intelligent responding as well, rather than just residual hauntings. When you really do have to understand the difference between those two types of hauntings, because those are the basis for when it comes to haunted locations. A residual haunting, where you know that there is some sort of time loop that plays itself out over and over and
Yeah.
over again. It does not interact with the environment or the living.
No.
And
Yeah.
so you have to understand that that could be a more common phenomena than an actual haunting, where it shows intelligence, where it is responding with the environment or interacting with the environment and responding to the living.
Yeah.
Those are the two main things that you have to understand before you go into a haunted location. You have to understand
Yeah.
what kind of haunting you're dealing with in the first place. Now, I know there's a lot of theories out there, especially when it comes to quantum physics and, to time loops and time warps and all that stuff. It's possible, but again, there's not enough data to validate that.
Yeah.
So we could throw out theories all night and all day as well.
Yeah, but we're
And
never going to get to the
until,
bottom of it until we actually find something.
yeah, but we don't have enough data to give us the answers as to what's going on. And that's just because nobody's really focusing enough attention
But
on
now
the
that people
paranormal,
are
on
aware,
ghost
we can
hunting.
do that.
You
We can
know,
start building on
we
that.
need to have a route to have a better understanding as to what's going on in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of great people out there that are, dabbling into, quantum physics and having an idea of how that could affect us as well. But again, they're just theories out there. And
But I
Yeah.
think what
you
you
have to keep
said
an
is
open
good.
mind. I can't say no, because I don't know enough. We
I
don't know
think
enough.
what you were talking about is if we set certain structures and things that we can all like compromise on, then it's going to prove a lot more, because there'll be like this baseline that you've got to kind of
Yeah.
atone to. So
Mhm.
that should go for a lot. I think that's maybe a plan for the future to help plan
Yeah.
these things.
I've always told people, if we want to have a better understanding about the paranormal,
to be took more serious.
we have to have a
like,
better understanding of what really is paranormal. Okay, so if there was only one phenomena that we would say is ghosts, let's say,
Yes.
I've always said if the cupboard doors in your kitchen fly open on their own, then you know you have a ghost. And that's
Yeah.
the only thing you ever experience. Okay? If we had to focus our attention on just the kitchen, cupboard doors opening up by themselves, by now we would have a better understanding of what ghosts are, because we
Yeah.
would only have to focus on that one phenomena.
exactly.
But there are so many different
Many.
combinations out there when
Yeah.
it comes to ghosts
Uh-huh.
that
Oh,
we
yeah.
are kind of all over the place.
Yep.
And we really do need to narrow ourselves and have a better understanding of some of the phenomena we're actually experiencing.
See, that's
Whether
why we do
we focus our
experiments
attention on
and
just
things.
EVP. If we focused our
Yeah.
attention on just EVP, then we'd have a better understanding of how they communicate with us.
We've
But we don't.
started
We
doing
don't have a complete
experiments.
understanding there.
Uh-huh.
So when it comes to my project, Parasense, by me focusing on just touch,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that I can, come up with that route,
Uh-huh.
that better understanding. When we have a better understanding on how a spirit can touch and affect the physical body, then
Yeah.
we could root out into different understandings of the other phenomena around that. but we really do have to have a better understanding on just that one phenomena.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
No, I
doing.
agree, yeah.
I'm focusing on that one phenomena to help us, guide us on a better understanding on everything else.
It's like everything else in the scientific field. There's set tests that people will take. If some passes that test, it'll be took more serious. So I think proving that spirits and different things exist, we're going to have to come up with some some kind of baseline things, so that we're took more serious in the technical field, if you like.
Right.
Whereas us that's spiritual already know all of this, but we need to try and prove it to the skeptics of the world. You know?
But see, that's the thing, is you can't even be in that mindset that you can prove it to the skeptics, because the skeptic is never going to believe anything that you present as evidence unless they experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
So you got to have skeptics that are willing to go out in the field with you and hopefully have those experiences, share those experiences
Yeah.
with you.
That is really the only way you're going to reach out to a skeptic, is by them
Exactly.
experiencing it. No other
think
way
that's
will
what
they
we
So
should
understand.
yeah.
start
So
doing,
don't get it
yeah.
in your head that you're going to prove this to skeptics, because they're never going to believe anything that you present unless they are able to
It's
validate
there.
your own credibility.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
test for every paranormal investigating team now. Try and take one skeptic with you every time you go somewhere you know is
There you
haunted.
go.
And
Yeah, that'd be a
slowly,
good start.
hopefully, change
That's a great
people's
idea.
opinion.
Yeah, that's a great
I
idea.
think that'd be a really good one. So, question number 10. Do you believe in demons and negative energies?
I don't necessarily believe in demons, because again, I would have to be following a religion when it
Yeah.
comes to demons. But do I believe in evil? I believe man is capable of doing very evil things. When I wrote my book, Haunted Prisons, and you learn what a person can do to another human being, that's evil.
Yeah.
So yes, I believe that there are some really horrible, horrible things that we are capable of doing. And who's to say that mentality can be carried on to the other side as well?
Yeah.
If you're a person that is capable of killing another human being, who's to say that when you pass on, you can't do the same thing if you had the abilities?
Yeah.
So
That's
yes,
true.
I believe that there are situations where we can be confronted by something very negative and very harmful if we are not careful. But I don't label anytime I experience something negative that it's a demon.
No. No. Yeah. No.
That's when you're allowing a religion to lead you. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody's beliefs, not at all whatsoever. I'm just saying, from a scientific perspective, you
Yeah.
have to always go with what you know and not with what you think you know. Because when
Yeah.
it comes to religion, so many people have different beliefs. And I can't tell you that, Sherry, you're right, and Drew, you're wrong. I'm sorry. You everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe within their heart and their mind and their soul.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
what makes us all unique individuals.
Yeah.
But if we're trying to prove something scientifically, we have to go with the data.
Yeah. I agree. Definitely. Let's see what the guys are saying in the room. See what this.
Drew, you're muted. Sorry. I'm like, is she doing mime for us?
She's
I
miming.
think in order to be took serious as well in this world, you've got to always prove things by backing it up by science. I mean, people's words are not good enough, you know.
Mhm.
No, they're not. And you have to have science, and you have to have other explanations in this sort of work, really, because there isn't anything else that can really
And
put it
the
out
fact of the
there.
matter is, without science, we wouldn't be where we are today.
And let's face
Exactly.
it, when you let somebody that's a skeptic hear a grade A EVP,
This
when
is science.
it's
Without science,
brilliant.
we wouldn't have this.
Their
You
face
know?
is unbelievable when you show them or let them hear something that is very unexplainable. They're like, no, no, no,
I
no, no,
love
no.
skeptics. I like the nice skeptics, the skeptics that are very nasty and get really mouthy. I don't appreciate them, but the ones that want to learn and
There's
maybe be able
there's a
to,
difference when it comes to skepticism. There's being an open-minded skeptic, which is great.
and there's
Those are the
been
kinds of people you want to work with, rather than the know-it-all skeptics.
yeah,
See,
which the
my
ones I'm on about
partner's
know
like
it all
that.
ones that
Right.
start ripping you
Yeah.
out for
Exactly.
no reason and
My
that. You know what I mean?
partner's like that because he's heard a few things come through the spirit box that is undisputable that it was his family. But if any of his friends or anything say to him,
Hello, MCAT.
"Are you
Hello,
a
Nina.
believer?" he kinda, no, really, no, really. But yeah, if you talk to him when he's himself about his experiences, he's a believer. So he's still
He's in
kinda on
between.
that
I
fence.
think he's in between. He needs a bit more.
Yeah.
So, question number 11, lovely Ross. What advice would you give to people and teams that are entering the paranormal field? What advice would you give them to help them to become successful and to do investigating the right way?
Well, one of the things that I always have to point out is don't rush yourselves. Don't get out there and call yourself a team or an expert or a professional investigator without the research behind you, without the knowledge behind you, because that is the biggest problem we have is we get a lot of these people that, like I said, have seen every episode of Ghost Hunters and they think they're experts in the field, and that is not the case at all. It takes years and years of experience. And that's why I've always said I don't even like to be called a professional and expert in the field. I like to
I say
say
this all the
I'm
time.
experienced in this field because I've done it long enough, and it all comes from experience.
We all say
You
that in
could
this
be
division as well. We do all say that. We say that there is no such word as a professional in the
Yeah.
paranormal because there's always forever things changing and stuff. We are educated in what we know.
right.
We're not professional. Nobody can be professional because things are always changing and we're getting new things. You know what I mean?
And we're prepared
So
for the
it
next
really
time
comes
round the
down
corner.
to the point where you really do have to learn as much as you can about this field. And
Yeah.
the biggest problem we have when it comes to a lot of these teams or people popping up in the paranormal field is they don't really have the proper education or the proper knowledge or the experience. And that's when they want to immediately go out and start helping clients.
Oh,
That
that
is the biggest mistake that they could be making.
dangerous.
Yeah.
It's great if you want to go out and be a weekend warrior and do some ghost hunting. Go out to a local cemetery, ghost hunt in a cemetery, check into a haunted hotel and stay in the haunted room. Do your ghost hunting there, but don't get clients involved
Yeah. No.
because
No.
that's when a lot of mistakes are being made. And I've had to fix so many problems because other teams have investigated a location before
Right,
us,
Luna.
and they had convinced the clients that they were dealing with
Time to
demons, that they
go.
needed to move out, sell their property and get out of there right away, or their lives were in danger. They were terrified, but yet this team could not help them and just left them in that state of mind. And then they call on us, terrified, like, oh my God, you have to get rid of these demons in our home. And I have to talk them off the cliff and say, let's go back to square one. Tell us what you were experiencing before this team came in and had you believe in all this stuff. And
Yeah.
you find out a lot of times it's nothing that they thought it was or what they were told it was.
It's a spirit that's get carried away with the
And
drama.
that's where a lot of damage can happen psychologically to the clients if you don't have the proper team to help educate you. And even financially, think of all the burden that you've just put somebody in and you've told them they need to sell their home and get out of there.
Yeah.
That's could be a financial burden to somebody who's not in
Yeah.
a financial situation that they can just turn around and sell their home and start new.
But
That's
it's a very rare situation to have to get rid of your house. I'm not being funny or anything. That isn't.
Do you think the church is taking a lot more to do with things now that it's a lot more open?
Well, the church, even when it comes to the paranormal, still have their I don't want to say, they're not wanting to accept the paranormal still.
They've
You
got their
know,
views.
they have their set ways and what they believe is happening when it comes to ghosts. So they're I hate to say it, they're biased
Right.
Yeah.
because this is what they're supposed to believe.
Yeah.
And so again, the church can be misleading when it comes to the paranormal as well. That's why the church is very strict, even when it
So do
comes
you
to possession and exorcisms. They're very strict, and certain protocols you have to follow to prove that you are dealing with some sort of possession.
Oh, definitely.
You
It's quite
know,
so
hard
do you
for
believe
them
that
to do.
everybody that's in the paranormal field should have took some sort of education? Because I'm what you would call a natural learner. I've never gone through courses and that. I'm doing courses at the moment to do with demonic and
yes. I
science
think if you are
and
going to be in a situation where you want to deal with clients and you want to help and you want to have a better understanding of the paranormal, yes, you should. If you just want to be a weekend warrior and have fun and the excitement of the, unexpected experiences that you might have investigating the paranormal, then no, you could just go, like I said, you can just go to a cemetery and have your experiences, or check into a haunted hotel, have your experiences, or anywhere else that's public that you can get into and do a ghost hunt. That's fine. But if you are going to get involved with clients, then yes, you
so you
have to
believe that
be
they
at a
should have it.
certain
What if
level.
somebody you've not got certification, but you've had people that have actually learned you to be able to do that that have been certificated? Would you class that as being okay?
Well, it depends on who's doing the educating. There
Well,
are people
somebody
out
that's been
there that
doing
will
it
make,
for 50 odd years and is
Sis,
known
I'm
as a
going to have
priest
to
and
go.
everything
Liam's
else.
just
you
been
know,
sick.
and that's the thing that's very misleading too, is,
Yeah.
anybody can go out there and teach a class online.
I'm
There
going to
are
Yeah.
have to
people
jump
out
down,
there
sis.
teaching a
Poor
3-hour
Liam's
class
just been
on
sick.
demonology 101. And now you
I'll
can be a
speak to you in a bit.
demonologist.
Nice to speak to you, Ross. My son's just spewed everywhere. I'll speak to you in a bit.
Okay, darling, talk
Right,
to you
okay.
soon.
Nice to speak to you. I'll watch the
No
rest,
Love and
problem.
okay?
light.
Right, okay.
Okay, love you.
But
Okay, yeah, so yeah, no, that's interesting.
and that right there can be a very dangerous situation where somebody who is going off of just 3 hours of a course wants to go out there and do exorcisms.
The
No.
reason I ask this is because obviously I've done a lot of my work for a long time. I've never done courses and stuff. I've done this through experiences through other people that are educated in this. Like for instance, my pups is a registered priest and also a registered shaman. I've learned from him, but I've not got certification. But in my opinion, I am still educated enough to work with clients because I've been shown how to do that. And that's what I'm saying. Do you agree in that, or do you think
I,
that there
I would
should be still
agree with
certification?
somebody if they have the background and the proof of who they are and why they're able to educate you on these levels of the paranormal or different beliefs. Do your research on this individual or this course and make sure you're taking the correct steps, because this is again the same situation where everybody's getting their knowledge from television shows. You can also get the wrong knowledge from the wrong people representing the
Oh yeah.
paranormal as
No,
well.
I'm only asking for the instance of other people because obviously I know that my pups is legit. I know that he's got his jobs. I know what he
And that's
does. I
great.
know that he's got his certificates. I know that he is registered. So I know that I'm just like trying to do this for other people that may have teachers and that. So you'd say look into them, make sure they're legit, genuine,
Exactly.
and things like that. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, Tommy, thank you for coming in, sweet. Lots of love and light. Right, so we've got three more questions, and then because it's like, well, we've been on an hour and a half. So, what do you believe happens? So, what do you believe happens to us after we pass over?
Well, that's a question I'm still asking myself, to be honest. I've never been a religious person. I've been a
No.
spiritual person, I should say. Um, I guess that's the biggest question
Yes,
that
Pwird.
that has always brought us to where we are right now is what is after death? I'd like to believe from my own personal experiences that there is something out there.
Yeah,
You know, I have experienced intelligent hauntings.
yeah,
So that gives me some sort of comfort that there is something after death. I'd like to
yeah.
believe there's something after death.
There's definitely, yeah.
But I've always said I'm not one of those ghost hunters that's going to tell you ghosts exist. You need to believe because, like I said, you need to experience it for yourself.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I've been in this field long enough to know there's something out there. I can't tell you everything of what it is, but I can tell you there is something out there.
Yeah, but it's down to you to try to find that out. And that
Right.
should be everybody's attitude. That it's up to you to find that out. And yeah, I do agree with that, Ross. Most definitely. Number 13. What would you say has been your most scariest experience in your investigation, in one of your investigations?
Um, like I said, there hasn't been a lot. I've been startled a few times.
Yeah.
There are some video clips of me screaming. It's a very manly scream, very primal, just so you know.
See, even the biggest investigators do still scream,
Yeah,
guys. It's
but I
okay.
didn't run away. I didn't run away,
Yeah, no.
Um, it comes down to, I would have to say, a couple that really are interesting for me when it comes to a scary experience. And I'll tell my more recent one. We were investigating a house in Bel Air, Ohio. It's called the Bel Air House. It's been featured on a few television shows.
Yeah,
And I was invited to lecture at a conference being held out there. And they basically put us up at the house. We had the house for a couple days before the event, but then when the event started, they moved us to another location. Now, I had spent a couple days at the house, no problem whatsoever. In fact, I wasn't really that familiar with the house, even though it's been on a few television shows. But again, I don't watch a lot of the shows. So I really didn't know a lot about the house. But after the weekend event, we had one more night that we could stay at the house. Now,
yeah.
at this point, I had been told of what had actually had happened at this house. And we're talking a lot of physical phenomena, cases where women have been physically attacked.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah. And one story was a young man was almost pushed out a second story window. So we're talking a lot of, very harmful phenomena.
Yeah,
Now, we went back to the house after our weekend away from the house. And so we went back to the house. And for the first time throughout my career, I didn't want to be there. In
yeah.
fact, the team that I was with, they like to investigate alone. I have strict protocol. My team does not investigate alone. You always have to at least have the buddy system for safety reasons and also for credibility reasons as well.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you are there to have some experience something, it's great to have somebody to validate that. So we don't ever investigate alone, but this team likes to investigate alone. But they do a situation where they'll put cameras on you. So I was a little more open to that because, again, if I'm going to have an experience, at least there's cameras there to validate the experience.
Exactly, yeah.
So they wanted to put me in the room that they call the rape room. Again, this is
Oh,
the
dear.
room where women are physically attacked by whatever's there. And again, once they put me in that room, I did not want to be there. I don't know what if it was fear, anxiety. I don't know what it was, but I had never experienced this feeling before. Throughout the investigations I've done, I've been in some of the darkest, scariest places you can imagine, and I'm hardly ever affected by this.
Yeah,
But for some reason, I could not shake this feeling, and I was getting mad at myself. I'm like, why are you feeling this way? What? And I was just pushing myself to get through this investigation because I didn't want to let the guys down. They
yeah,
were doing this investigation. They set me up alone in this room. So I'm trying to shake this feeling, but I'm also trying to do an investigation. I'm alone in this room. The room is over 100 degrees because the house had been shut down after the the weekend event, and it was a very hot day. So when we
yeah.
got to the house, it was very hot, and so this room was really hot. I'm sweating. I'm having these feelings I can't explain, and I'm trying to get through this investigation. Now they have a camera on me, and they also have a thermal camera on me.
Yeah.
And I'm, just trying to communicate with whatever's there. I feel the best way whenever dealing with something negative. Obviously, this is a very negative entity here because it's hurting people, is
Yeah.
just to be respectful. And that's all I'm being. I'm just being respectful. I'm just like, whatever, whoever you are, I'm just here to try and communicate with you. Can you give me some sort of sign that you're here? And right after I'd asked that question, the thermal camera shot off the tripod into the air.
Oh,
I
wow.
screamed. Yes, this is all on video. And so, of course, they hear me downstairs. It's two other team members, so it's just the three of us in the house. They hear me downstairs. They come running up to check on me. Are you all right? What's going on? What's going on? And I'm just like, I told him thermal camera flew up in the air. He's fixing the thermal camera. I'm just trying to relax again as to what's going on. And so they've got the camera set up again, and they're like, well, would you want to continue on? And I'm like, okay, I'm a little intrigued, but again, I can't shake this feeling that I have either. So I decide, yeah, I'll go ahead and stay a little bit longer, see if anything else happens. So I hear them both go downstairs, and I think I hear, because I hear the front door open and shut. So I think they actually went outside. They left me alone in the house. So after experiencing something physical happen, with a camera being thrown off the
Yeah.
tripod, I'm like, okay, I'm a little concerned for my safety. So I start to yell for the guys because I want to make sure if anything's going to happen to me, they're right there to
They're
help me.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I start yelling for the guys, to get them to respond. And I'm yelling and yelling their names. They're not responding. And I'm starting to yell louder than I probably screamed. All right. And there's still no one's responding. So finally, I pulled out my cell phone. I turned it off airplane mode, and I text, David. And as soon as I text David, I hear him yell from downstairs, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, what the hell? I've been yelling for these guys and they're just downstairs. They couldn't hear me yelling their names. So David comes up to check on me and he's like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I've been yelling for you guys. How come you're not responding?" And he's like, "We didn't hear you." I'm like, "How could you not hear me just downstairs? You heard me
They do
scream."
say sometimes that they can manipulate it so that nothing can be
Well,
heard.
and that's the thing. They heard me scream, but they couldn't hear me yelling their names.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, "Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay? Do you?" And I'm just like, what? I think I'm going to take a break because again, I'm sweating bullets. The room's really hot.
Yeah.
I just had that experience. They weren't hearing me screaming their names.
You
I
need
need
a
a break.
Yeah.
So I go outside to cool off, and I'm standing in the driveway above, just below the room where this all takes place.
Yeah.
And as I'm standing there, I decide to do a live feed. I'm doing a live, Facebook feed, talking about my experience, talking myself through what just happened. And I can hear Dave. Now it's David and Dave that are with me on this. So Dave
That's
goes up into
confusing.
the room and I can hear him yelling in the room. He's being
Yeah, so
disrespectful
you
and
could
yelling
hear
at
him
whatever that
perfectly
I
fine,
can
but he
hear it
couldn't hear
happening.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can hear what's going on up in the room because I'm just outside underneath the room. And I'm still doing this live feed and everything quiets down a little bit. I don't hear, Dave in the room anymore. And after a good, 15 minutes, David comes around on the porch and he goes, "Oh, there you are." And I'm like, "Yeah, here I am. Been here the whole time, just doing my live feed." And he's like, "Dave's been looking for you. You didn't hear him yelling throughout the house looking for you?" And I'm like, "No." Apparently, Dave even went outside on the front porch and yelled for me. I was just around the other side of the house. And he went
Someone was
outside on the
cutting
front
your
porch and
connection
was
off then.
yelling for me. I didn't hear any of it. Even everybody that was watching me on the live feed are like, "We didn't hear anything."
That's nuts.
Yeah. So for me, that was a pretty intense investigation.
It sounds like it. Definitely sounds like it.
Yeah.
And coming to your final question. Have you ever seen a spirit on an
Yeah, we
investigation? Have you
just
ever
talked about.
physically seen one?
Yeah, we just talked about that. Being that I've been in this field for 30 years, I have yet to see a full-on, apparition. Now, I will point out, there is one experience where I think I might have.
Yeah,
And the story is, we were investigating an old brothel, and
yeah,
I was doing some early experiments when I started doing the parasense research. And I had this brothel available for me, and I had a subject with me to help me with the experiments. And one of the experiments I was going to have is I wanted him to spend the night in the room where one of the ladies gets a little touchy feely with anybody who stays in this room,
yeah,
especially with guys. So when we first started the experiment, he was apprehensive. He was like, I really don't want to do this. Do I have to spend the night? Can I just go sleep in my car? And I'm like, I really do need this research done. I really need you to be willing to spend the night. We've got cameras on you. We got meters all around to see what we can pick up. And so, he finally says, okay, I'll do it. So I'm sleeping downstairs. All right. And so he's alone upstairs in the brothel. I'm downstairs. I'm sleeping on a couch. And throughout the night, every time I started to drift off, something would happen in the room, a loud noise, something, would wake me up. So I'm
yeah,
not getting any sleep. And so I'm in investigation mode. I've got my camera going every, so often, trying to capture whatever this is that's happening in the room. So I'm not getting any sleep. And it's getting to be, I think, around 4 o'clock in the morning. And I can hear, his name was Mike. I can hear Mike coming down the stairs.
yeah,
Now, the room I'm staying in, it has a door, but there's a big window in the door. So I can see out into the hallway. Now I'm thinking, great. Mike's going to want to come to me and he's going to want to tell me he can't sleep in the room anymore.
yeah,
So I didn't want to acknowledge him. All right. So I'm just kind of ignoring that I can hear him coming down the stairs, and I'm just paying attention to my photos that I've been taking in the room. And I'm just looking through my, photos, and through my peripheral vision, I see him walk past the window and then go down the next flight of stairs to the first floor. So I sit there for a few minutes and I'm thinking, great, I don't want to be an ass. If something happened, I should check on him and make sure he's okay. So I get up, I go out, I go downstairs to the first floor. And when I get to the door, I realize that the door is still, deadbolted shut. But I really didn't think about it because, again, 4 o'clock in the morning, I've had no sleep. So I undeadbolt the lock. I go outside. I go out to his car to think that maybe he's sleeping in his car. He's not there. So I go back inside. I shut the door, lock the door, and I go all the way back up to the third floor. And there he is, still in bed. And I'm like,
oh
did you
wow,
just not leave? He's like, no, I thought that was you. I was like, no, it wasn't me. So the one time I could have looked over and saw an apparition, I
and caught
chose
it,
not to because I thought it was Mike.
yeah. That's always the way, isn't it?
It's always the
Oh
way.
dear. Well, hopefully you get to have another experience where you will hopefully catch something like
It
that.
will happen. I'm sure it will.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so that was the 14 questions. Obviously, we're going to get off really quickly. Is there any of you guys that want to ask anything quickly, guys? Because I do want to bring up Ross's book and that for a poster so I can show you that. So I'm going to do that quickly while we're at it. So I'm going to show you his book and show you the one for his series that's coming out. It takes a few minutes, excuse me. I'm going to have to do this into big mode because for some reason it... So it doesn't come up very big. So what I'm going to do is do this. So this is the Parasense, guys. So this is Ross's.
This is the docu-series. This is the first one of
This
the
is the
docu-series.
documentary series.
Yeah.
Series. It's coming out next month. Am I right?
Yes, we're due to have it out next month. We're just wrapping up a few editing things that we're trying to do. This has been 6 years of research that we're putting into just over an hour, which is very challenging to do. But the nice thing about it is, I was lucky enough to find a scientist that wanted to join my team, and we are actually applying real science in trying to prove touch.
Yeah.
And it's we've actually captured some amazing phenomena, and so I really think we're on to something. And so I really
It
encourage
does sound
people.
like a very good project to be doing. And
Oh
if
yeah,
any of you guys have really liked the interview tonight and you're really interested, I have been posting Ross's links into the room, so you can follow him in that way and keep up to date with what he's doing and his books and everything else, guys. You can do that through those links. I've also got his Amazon link going across the bottom of the page. So I'm just going to take you over to look at the second one. Oh, no, that's the phone. You don't want to look at that. The next one is Ross's new book that is going to be coming out in 2022, guys.
yes. So Parascience is a book that me and my scientist have decided to work on with all the research and the discoveries we're finding by doing Parasense. Again, I'm all about publishing the data. We can't move forward as a community if the data is not out there for you guys to learn from. So we are
Exactly.
really trying to get that data out there from what we've discovered in doing this research, and some of the other things that are very important, and how to conduct an investigation and try to apply more of a scientific mindset when you're trying to investigate the paranormal.
Exactly. There is a question. Boomer was asking, what was the hotel room number where your friend had that experience with the lady that touchy feels you?
Oh,
Or when
the
was
the place, it's not a hotel room number. The place is known as Shakers. It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's actually a restaurant, a really fine dining restaurant. The Bob Weiss, who runs the place, an amazing chef. He runs the place, but being that he knew of the place's history, he turned the third floor into kind of like a makeshift. It's not a hotel, but you can stay there. In
Oh wow.
fact, he's made it very clear that a lot of people have never been able to completely spend the night. He says a lot of people just freak out and leave that place in the middle of the night. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a very interesting place, but that was Ross's book and obviously his new series. So his new series is coming out this month coming, and the book is coming out in 2022. You have got the links in the room so that you can support him that way, guys, and watch anything that he may be doing and having coming up. So yeah, I've got some ways to follow him. I'm going to just quickly put the links back into the room as well, so that we've just got them in there one more time. Oh, hang on a minute. Something's going on there. No, I don't want.
And I always encourage people, follow me on Facebook, Ross Allison Ghost Hunter. Um, that's the best one to follow me on, because I do a lot of live feeds as well from these places. And you may witness my next paranormal experience as well.
Exactly. So that'd be really good for you guys to check him out and watch and see what he's coming up with. He's a very interesting guy, and I'm glad that I had him to come on. And I hope that he will come back again. Maybe we could talk a
Anytime,
bit more
anytime.
about your books, and maybe you'd have
Maybe,
had some more things happen by then, so you'll
and
have some
maybe
more
we can do
stuff to
this in
talk about.
person. That would be awesome.
And it'd be really good to get your friend to come up as well. She says she's got lots of stories about you, Ross. So I think that'd be interesting to hear what she's
Uh-oh.
got to say about you. That'd be
Don't
very
believe
fun. I'm
anything
sure the
she
guys would
says.
enjoy it. Right, just doing these links quickly. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed the show and you've enjoyed hearing Ross talk about his experiences with the paranormal, because he's been in it a very long time. Hope that you've took some very good acknowledgement from what Ross has said. If you want to be able to understand Ross more and, follow more of the way that Ross believes, you can, as I said, follow him on the links that I've been putting in the room. I most definitely am going to be following. And let's work as this paranormal community as we should be, and let's make this paranormal a better place to work in. And I think that with Ross's help and acknowledgement, that's been brilliant tonight. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Ross, thank you so much for coming
Well,
and
thanks
joining
for
us. It's
having me.
been a great privilege having you up,
Well, the privilege has been mine. It's
and
always great
we
to
look
make new
forward to
friends
having you
across the
back.
water.
And we've got a show on the 23rd of December, and where we've got people coming in talking about paranormal and UFO stuff. So if you're interested in just popping in, or maybe popping on panel with us just to say hi, if you want to get your name out there and your face again, you're more than welcome.
Oh, thank you.
I will send you the date and times for that so that you know, and if you want to, you can.
Okay.
To all of my angels in the room, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We very much appreciated you to come and support Ross's stream and support the company stream. Thank you to my sister Drew for being up and asking some amazing questions and accompanying me and Ross as well. But I am going to say good night, and I hope that you're safe and you're well. And you can get me on Facebook, guys, if you want a message. But from us, we're going to say good night and lots of love, light, and blessings. I'm now going to play the intro and the 30-second countdown, and that is the end of this show. So a merry meet to you all, guys, and a merry parting. And we'll see you very, very, very soon. Let's bring up the thing. And again, thank you, Ross.
Oh, anytime.
Hello, and welcome to Paranormal World Investigators Research Division, shortened PWIRD. I am a practicing white witch and shaman, and I have been investigating for over 20 years. This channel is made to talk about all things paranormal, supernatural, of the occult, demonic information, UFOs, and much more of the strange and the unknown. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and hit the bell to see more of this channel. And we will see you very soon. Thank you. Night, guys. Thank you so much. Blessed be. And I will see you all very, very soon. And thank you again to Ross, to my sister, and to everybody else that has joined me tonight. And I will have a paranormal stream either tomorrow or Wednesday, guys, at 11 p.m. So please don't be missing that either. So from us, we'll see you real soon. And remember that when you go to sleep, those spirits creep and they're always around you. And stay spooky. Keep watching for the stars and the sky, and keep watching for the spirits. And bless be.